Okay, good, thank you. Good evening, welcome to the Danvers Conservation Commission meeting for June 26, 2025. We as a commission operate under the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Chapter 26 of the Town of Danvers General Bylaw, the Wetlands Protection Bylaw. After each applicant presents his or her request, and the board has had time to ask questions and discuss the project, we will accept questions from the audience. Because this is a public meeting, it is required by law that you give your name and your address before you speak. Although we may disagree with you on the issues raised, all persons present during this meeting are expected to be civil to all other meeting attendees. This includes members of the commission, staff, abutters, concerned citizens, property owners, and project applicants. We also request that you confine your questions to the project and only as it pertains to the Wetlands Act. We cannot handle nor do we have jurisdiction over matters such as noise or traffic. All problems not related to the Wetlands Protection Act must be taken up with other appropriate boards. Our first order of business will be a roll call. Peter Wilson is present. Lorraine Drapek is not with us. Mary Height.
Present.
Michael Splain.
Yeah.
Okay, the first item on our agenda would be a notice of intent for 12 and 17 Cherry Hill Drive, DEP file number 14-1438. The applicant is Millipore and
So good evening, Jill Mann, legal counsel for Millipore. My office is located at 191 South Main Street in Middleton. Thank you for hearing us this evening. Here with me tonight is Mark Baker, who's the representative for Millipore. Also, Bobby Attenzio, who is actually the site contractor for the particular project, and Maureen Harold from Norse Engineering, the wetland scientist, who will be presenting to you the more detailed wetland issues and answering those detailed questions from you. I thought maybe it'd be a good idea to give you context relative to the site and also why Millipore is looking to make these modifications to its property. So, great. I'm going to give you, I actually have some handouts for you. And the reason I'm going to give them to you, is because these may show a little bit of additional information because Josh Morris had asked us a couple of questions, so I supplemented. So I kind of like you to have the same stuff that the planning board is looking at too.
Sure. Great, thank you. Oh, great, thank you. Do you want me to see if I can find Josh's and project his up there? That help or? Oh, okay. You can have it back. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
So anyway, so Millipore currently operates at 17 Cherry Hill Drive. So this building up here is not theirs. So this is 12 Cherry, where they have their accessory parking. This is 17, where they actually have their full operational manufacturing facility. Just as some, again, to provide some context, in and around 2021, they ended up expanding their operation to 54 Cherry Hill. Again, COVID effect, right? So they are a science technology provider, research development, and they basically manufacture testing tools, and they are actually in the pharmaceutical industry. So obviously there was huge demand for their products in and around 2020, 2021, and they saw a huge increase then. So they ended up taking some space at 54 Cherry. As a result of COVID being over, methodologies relative to distancing, et cetera, having ended, they had given up their lease at 54 Cherry Hill, which is referenced in your package, and now they brought all manufacturing back under one roof at 17 Cherry Hill. As a result of that, they're no longer allowed to use the parking they had used at 54 because they need that. The 54 owners need it for their space. So we're here tonight to ask for additional parking to be allowed to be constructed on site, on 12 and on 17. We currently have on these two properties about 318 parking spaces. Millipore has been a long-time partner and job provider in the town of Danvers. They currently have somewhere around 1,200 employees. It's a very large enterprise. They run 5 shifts. That's how they get to that higher number. So this is a standard, pretty much pharmaceutical operator that manufactures products, so they have 5 shifts. The reason why, again, we're looking for more parking is because 54 is gone, so we lost, somewhere around 80 spaces, and because they need to provide better parking situation for their employees. Currently, their employees are parking on grass. They're parking where they shouldn't. There's not enough space because while the bylaws require 1 parking space per employee, and you do have some employees who will have, shared cars, they drive their bikes, some of them will take public transportation. The issue is with shift change, especially in manufacturing, you need overlap. You need overlap so people can talk to one another, and you need overlap so that your shift is properly managed. So we have an absolute need for more parking. I'm just going to show you some pictures of how that actually impacts the site. This is just a close-up. I don't know if you can hear. This is a close-up showing how we have a parking attendant actually on site helping us.
At the
because-
shift change?
Oh, yeah, that shift change, in particular, that's when the project is worse. This is an overview. So we actually have, and Mr. Baker can attest to this as well, we actually have a,
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
we have to have somebody there controlling parking because we have no place to put everybody who comes to work. So we're looking to expand. The expansion areas are, again, within 17 and 12. All of the expansion areas, by the way, I know, and we all realize they're within the 35 and the 50, which is why we need extra help from the board and waivers under your bylaw. However, all of those areas are either degraded, are completely, invaded by invasive species, and are already disturbed. Many of the areas are either grassed or they are currently a stormwater management basin, or one of the systems that currently are used on site. And we need to use those areas to be able to provide parking. But I will tell you that within those designated areas, it's basically all stormwater management systems. There's only 8 feet of pavement in one of your specifically prohibited areas. And Maureen will address that, and she can walk through. But basically, we intend to be able to have Maureen demonstrate to you that the interests that are supposed to be protected by your bylaw via the 35 and the 50 are not currently protected by what's going on now, but when we actually will transition into the parking areas, we'll remove all the invasive species, we'll make sure there's proper treatment of all stormwater management, and you'll be actually helping one of Danvers' largest employers. So the 3 parking areas I'm just going to point out, and then I'm going to turn it over to Maureen. So we have parking area C. It's 20 plus 26 parking spaces. We have parking area A and B, I'm sorry, and that is 27 parking spaces. And then we have parking area A, which is 55.
Could you just go back and say that one more time?
Of course. So we have parking area C.
Is that whole square?
This whole area, can you see that?
Oh, that's the additional
Yeah.
parking.
Additional parking.
All right, so
what
that's
then we
C.
have happening-
Yep.
Yes, so this is parking C.
Yep.
And
Okay.
that's where we're going in this area. And then we have parking area B and parking area A. And as you can see on the overhead, those areas are already grass disturbed and used. They aren't pristine, basically, and aren't protecting the interests that are supposed to be protected by that 35 and 50-foot buffer. At the end of the day, we need an additional, we need the 450 spaces, basically, we show, it's 447. But we need all of those spaces to be able to accommodate our employees. Right now, they're parking on the grass, they're parking on the street. So at this point, I'm going to ask Maureen to come up and then specifically address your bylaw. I just wanted to give you some context relative to why we are asking for the additional parking.
Hi, everyone. My name's Maureen Harold from Norse Environmental Services, 2100 Lakeview Ave, Drake, Mass. Emily, would you mind putting up Plan C3 for me?
Yes.
Okay. So we filed a notice of intent with the commission. We're proposing to remove some pavement, walkways, vegetation, and grass areas to construct and extend parking lots, curbing, replace speed bump, buffer zone and riverfront restoration, enlarge and construct drainage, grading, and associated utilities within the 100-foot buffer zone and 200-foot riverfront area. So
Could you just point out on the drawing where the 100-foot boundaries are?
that's exactly what I was gonna do next, yes. So, we have an unnamed perennial stream. Let me start with that. We have a ponded area that's located here, that outlets, that goes underneath Cherry Hill Road, and then, that must be me. It's shown as the blue line on the plan. We have a bordering vegetated wetland here, as well as bordering vegetated wetland that wraps around this parking lot area as well. Buffer zones. The 200-foot riverfront area is this blue line. The 100-foot buffer zone is the yellow line. This 50-foot is kind of an orange-colored line, and the 35 is located here. The existing drainage on the property. There's an existing drainage basin that's located right here, as well as this area here. We have an existing swale type feature located here as well that outlets into this wetland resource area. So I think maybe the easiest way to go about this, because it's two separate properties and we filed as one notice of intent, is to maybe focus on one property, answer any questions, and then go on to the second one, if that works for the commission. Okay, so we talked about the resource areas. 12 Cherry Hill, which is this property here. This area is pretty much existing lawn with a shrub hedgerow in this location. We have the existing parking lot here. We'd like to expand the parking lot areas in these two locations. In terms of the drainage, parking lot B will be treated with the BMP B. BMP B will be a constructed stormwater wetland. Currently, right now, as you drive in, and I have a photograph, and when I talked about the buffer zones, we'd like to create a constructed wetland in this location. Right now, it's essentially just lawn area in this area. BMPC will be treatment for the parking lot area C. Again, we'd like to do a constructed stormwater wetland. A lot of this area that's for the BMP itself, it's either compact soil, invasive species, just relatively low quality buffer zone in my opinion. We are proposing a stormwater swale to come down as treatment, as well as not a buffer zone restoration that we're proposing, because we are encroaching within the buffer zones. This area here is loaded with invasives and fill and junk type material, and I think we can really improve the buffer zone by removing that material, do some native planting as well as invasive species management in that area. We're also proposing restoration. Again, this is existing, the stormwater basin here. There's a berm that has a number of invasives, including black locust and honeysuckle and multiflora rose. It's loaded up pretty well with bittersweet as well. if the commission is amendable to the project and to the site, what we'd like to do is just improve the overall quality of this area, remove these invasives, plant native plants in this area, as well as monitor the invasives. Manage the invasives. The existing swale that's there right now, it has pretty much dominated by monoculture of Phragmites, our common reed. Again, we'd like to remove that material, put in a wetland seed mix, and just try and improve the overall quality of the buffer zone and the riverfront area as well. For number 17, the area with parking is proposed. Right now, that is existing lawn area. We do have a walkway that the employees use to access the building. There's also a shrub row in this area. We are proposing again, a constructed wetland within the buffer zone. We're going to enlarge the drainage system that's there right now to treat the stormwater for the parking area, as well as do a number of invasive species management, take the invasives out, and do some natural plantings. The constructed wetlands themselves, they will be planted with native plants and will be allowed to grow and to thrive in these areas. And I can open it up to the commission with any questions that you may have.
The first and foremost is we saw something today where normally when we grant a waiver, I think our regulation's limited to 10% of the property that's within that zone. And you're requesting somewhere in the 80s or 90%. Could you just show us on the map where all the square footage is, and then we just kind of get a feel for it?
Sure.
What you're asking for.
So for 17, this is the 35-foot for 17, so we are proposing the drainage within that area. Again, that buffer zone is primarily lawn right now. The 50-foot is located here. We're proposing 8 square feet of pavement within that 50-foot. We do realize that we are requesting the commission for a number of waivers, and that's why we're trying to essentially improve the overall site of that. So that's number 17. Number 12, this is the 35-foot. So in terms of encroachment, it would be for the constructed stormwater wetland. Again, this area is currently lawn. I believe there's 1 tree in this location. We're proposing to manage the invasives on the berm, replant with native plants, as well as manage the invasives within the existing stormwater drainage system that's there right now. Again, the 35-foot is here, and the 50-foot, we're proposing that constructed wetland. So that's why the square footage is so large in terms of alteration. Here we have the 35-foot that we're maintaining, but the 50-foot, that's part of the restoration that we're proposing.
But the parking lot over there is outside of the 50.
That is correct. So this is the 50-foot line here. We have a drainage swale beside it. So a lot of that alteration, and if the commission was interested, I can provide a breakdown for you, but a lot of that alteration is improvement to the resource area in the buffer zone.
So it's so safe to say most of the waiver that's being requested is just to work within these areas.
Yes.
Not necessarily to build within them. Okay, instead of me hogging all the questions, let me ask.
Just to also, I didn't know if you knew this, just for clarification too, there is a portion of the buffer areas that are already gravelled, and part of the I guess, mitigation or improvement, how to contribute better to the protection, is to put up a berm or some sort of a barrier, because in the current condition, people do park there because it's gravel, then it's grass. So in certain circumstances, the gravel flows. So what we're trying to do, and I think we already actually cleaned out that storm basin, took all the debris out, and now, and now try to really protect it by putting up a preventive border so that things can't continue to flow into the protected areas. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Okay, Mike, any questions?
Yeah. What percentage of the work, first let's start with that lot.
Okay.
What percentage of the actual parking spaces are in either 35, the 50, and the 100? If you could point that out in terms of a percentage or square footage.
I'm not sure I can give you a square footage on the spot, but this is the 100-foot buffer zone, this yellow line
Yeah.
that you see.
So-
The existing parking within the 100-foot extends to here. There's also parking along this area, and this is the
What,
driveway.
proposed parking or existing?
No, this is existing. So what I'm showing you is existing. This is the 100-foot.
All right.
Parking here, it comes down, there's
Well, let me just cut to, are you suggesting that the majority of the work in the 35 and 50 are in the nature of improvements and not of additional pavement?
that is correct, with one exception. 8 square feet is proposed within the 50-foot no build at number 17. But the majority of the work that we're proposing, constructed stormwater, drainage, restoration, constructed stormwater wetland, and then the improvement.
And how much impervious are you adding?
That is a good question.
It's gotta be a lot.
I have to get back to you on that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure of the number.
Because I think we'll probably be going out to the site here.
Okay.
So maybe you could revise some of it or update some of your information. But I'd like to know what percentage of the work in the 35 and in the 50 is actually the work in the lawn, for example, not actually adding impervious. So if you're saying, well, we're out in the 35, but we're planting new trees, or that sort of thing versus the impervious.
Okay, so the only impervious within the 50-foot no build is the 8 square feet on Cherrywood. On number 12, the larger parking lot, we're not proposing any impervious within the 35 or the 50. The work that we're proposing is drainage features, constructed stormwater wetlands, restoration, that type of work.
Okay. And then,
That work will, sorry, Mike.
yeah,
That work in part will be to handle the increased water coming off of these.
Correct, so the constructed stormwater wetlands are designed to handle the new impervious area that we're proposing within the buffer zone, the riverfront, and the entire site.
was there stormwater treatment here previously, and was there a previous order of conditions?
Yes, so I can show you the existing stormwater. The existing stormwater is this swale here.
Where'd Emily go? Oh, there you are.
So it's this existing swale here. What we'd like to do is upgrade it, make it a little bit wider, make it so the slopes aren't steep, and treat the phragmites within it.
Are they allowed to work within an existing swale that's under a stormwater condition?
Well, I mean, they do need a stormwater permit from engineering anyway to do this work. And I think it will help with the site visit too. When we were out there in April, they showed the areas where it does need, this is very echoey, I'm sorry. Where it needs a lot of work to repair it and get it functioning again properly. So it seems like it is necessary work to get everything
So it's
drained.
not functioning now?
I mean, they can speak more to it from being out there, but from what we saw on the site, it's not functioning properly or up to the standards that it should be at this point. But
Was it
again,
under an order of maintenance?
That I would have to check. I'd have to find the prior order of conditions number.
Yeah,
and
we'd
see
like
what
to
that
see
is.
that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I can grab that.
I wonder how
I can send that
old
over to you.
this is, I bet you predates a lot of things.
Yeah, we'll find out, yeah.
So there are obligations, the operations maintenance.
You go to the mic. I can't hear you.
There are operations and maintenance plans for stormwater management that you're allowed to undertake without additional permits. It's just when something breaks, or if you have to do something material, you have to enhance the system, make it larger, change it, then you have to come back and modify. But you have an O&M, operations and maintenance plan, and under that, they have attempted to make repairs. It's just that the current situation in the setup isn't, I guess the initial design was a little faulty. So what I explained before, what we're proposing to do is put a curb and change the stormwater to make it so that it's going to continue to function in the future. Millipore has tried to maintain it. So for example, Mr. Tunzio's gone out, you have to really go in and take the sediment out so it'll work properly, and they have done that. It's just that it's not a very good system, the way it's
And
designed
you
and
have to
set up.
involve engineering here for your stormwater.
It's fully engineered in the plan, and then a stormwater report has been submitted for the new systems to be able to integrate the old with the
Has been
new.
reviewed by stormwater?
We submitted.
Submitted.
The engineering team
Yeah.
has it.
Engineer-
So
Oh,
we would want comments on that?
Mhm.
Yes, yeah, we would definitely want comments from
Yeah.
engineering back on that.
All,
But I mean, the point, I guess, tonight is to kind of show you, what the
excuse me, I'm just gonna,
Yeah,
are you going to, be able to lay out where the parking is, so if we go out, we can see it on the ground?
we can put stakes up so that we can mark them.
Yeah.
And show you where the proposed areas. So we'll have to walk it with you so we can say, okay, it's, this far off of the stake, because we can't literally quadrant off,
We
but
can see it relative to the 35 and the 50,
we can show you, right?
Generally speaking, yes, we can give you a good idea as to where it is.
So do you traditionally, when you do your site walks, do you come out and you meet with us so that we can assist? Yeah, you'll be able to see clearly where everything is. 35, 50, we'll show you the 100, we'll show you the riparian inner and outer, so that you have a good bearing. But I mean, I think the most important message here tonight is that we have made extraordinary effort to keep all pavement, except for that 8 feet, and it's just because of the configuration, out of your 50-foot. I mean, our intent is to honor the spirit of your bylaw. The only reason we have to actually go into the other areas is to provide the treatment that you demand under your bylaw, right? To protect your wetland. And those features are in the areas, and they always are, kind of adjacent to where the wetland areas will be, and they currently are. And what we also tried to do when we were adding those structures is to try and keep them in areas that are disturbed, areas that are degraded, areas that we have to go in. If you go out and you look at the site, you're gonna see all the Phragmites, you're gonna be like, seriously, can you clean them up? Because they're not good. And that's what we'll try to do.
Sometimes I say, I'll take the Phragmite.
Oh, serious? Okay. I mean,
Depends, it depends. you
it
know.
depends.
As opposed to concrete.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, but we're not proposing
I know.
any
Yeah,
concrete.
you guys had
That's
said
kind of the
the
point, and we wanted to,
What's the
Obstructed
percent, how
wetlands.
much impervious are you adding?
oh my goodness, well, impervious to the whole site,
No, well, how much
within
new
your
impervious?
jurisdiction, within the 50 and the 30 foot, none. Well, 8 feet, 8 square feet.
No, but I mean, just
Yeah,
as,
so
a-
that's kind of.
Do you mean, go ahead.
how much impervious are you adding, not within
The whole thing? Oh my,
parking?
okay, I can actually do it.
Parking
It's
area.
147 spaces.
Water's gotta go somewhere, so we,
And we do. I'm sorry, I keep making this move, and I don't mean to. We are taking all of the impervious area and directing it to those 2 new basins to treat. But in addition to that, you're asking me what the exact square footage of the impervious area? I really can't,
Well, not at the, everything, but what you're adding, the
Yeah.
added spaces, how much impervious are you adding?
it's probably, okay, so it's 200, so 200 times that's 3,000.
You have to count this.
Probably about, I would say, what, 10,000 square feet? Because each parking space, I know it's
As a
gonna.
dimension and multiply it by the number.
169 square feet is each parking space. We're doing 146. So multiply, I'm so off on my math, so 146, right? So just say,
Give me a minute, I have plans
You'd
and
ha-
I can scale
you
it
can do
off,
it.
but keep talking.
So it's 146 and 24-foot aisles, and the 24-foot aisle is the whole thing, and it's 8 times 20 on one side, so 160, so that's like 160 by 18, 24, 36, 50. So it's got to be 160 by 50 on that one. I'm not good at, I'm an attorney, the math is I'm losing math. Maureen's going to be better at that, but we can give you the percentages. I dropped everything.
Figuring it out.
Yeah, well, of course, and if you ask us, look, we want you to give us the exact, amount of disturbance in each zone, we can break it down into square feet too. I mean, because it's all the stormwater. And as I said, we do have that 8-foot area, and you can see it's because, just to square off the parking lot, honestly.
So you basically have 3 different areas that you're gonna make
Yes.
substantial improvements in.
Yes.
Okay, while we're waiting for that, do you have any further
No,
questions, Mike?
thank you.
I had something to, so you guys are gonna do, you had mentioned some constructed wetlands?
Yes, so Maureen's proposing to do a constructed wetland. That's this, right, Maureen, constructed wetland?
3 of them, in each,
Yep.
two,
So
one on
she is
that side and 2 on
proposing
the
to do a
other.
constructed wetland in addition to the swales. And then that's just to be empty.
And you also mentioned, you were gonna improve the quality by monitoring and managing invasives. How does the monitoring and managing work? Who does that?
Right, so you have us put in place an operations maintenance plan that we have to show that we actually will do that. My recommendation is always that you submit an annual report, and then, quite frankly, that triggers, okay, we need an annual report, here it is, here it is, here it is. And we demonstrate that we actually go out and ensure that if the invasive species come back, which we all know they do, so you have to manage it. Once they're there, it's impossible sometimes to fully eradicate. But with constant maintenance, we can.
But with that management, how do they manage the invasives? Do you know?
The basins?
Yeah, what's the process?
What's the process to manage those invasives?
Oh,
As far as like what they do, is that like a set?
most times, it's literally going in and ripping them out. So, I mean, like, when we go in, you'd come in and you'd remove them all. I mean, I don't think we spray. I know in some instances, people will apply those sprays that aren't supposed to hurt anything, but we have to ask Maureen what she's proposing for that. I don't know the exact protocol for it, but she can.
Any other questions, Maureen?
I think I'm good.
Um,
I think we should visit, though. I'd like a
No,
site visit.
absolutely.
Oh.
Now, let me just drive it a little, how many employees do they have during the steady state
On a shift?
of a shift?
Yeah, so basically, the most important shift change is they have a 6:30 to 2, and then a 2:30 to, I'm doing it the wrong way, 6:30 to 2:30, and then 2 to 10. So those 2 shifts have about 400 maximum on each shift. Sometimes it goes to 417, because sometimes people have to do overtime. The problem is, like I said, in order to ensure proper manufacturing and handing over, you need an overlap. That's why we have extra spaces.
How many, with these extra spaces, how many extra spaces will you have?
Probably very few. Maybe we'd have, an extra
No, no,
20
give me
points.
I need a number. So if
So-
you have 400 employees and you want to have 700, say, to accommodate the shift change?
No, because everybody
That's
has.
the number I'm asking for.
I understand it now. So currently, we use about 418 parking spaces total. That's what we're using right now. And that's because we use 54 as well. We only have 347 on this. I think it's 347. I have to look at my notes. I left them there. But we don't have enough here, so we had to increase it by at least 110 spaces. And what we're asking for is actually an increase by 146, because we are now starting to grow again, and we have the need for more parking. So that's why we're asking for the extra, number one. Number two, when we have a big order to fill, we have to have overtime. Overtime means more parking, because you have the people coming in for their normal shift, and we have the people with overtime. So we believe, and Mark can speak to this, Mr. Baker can speak to this, that with the 456 spaces, we will be good. That is, if we can have that, We're not going to be parking on grass, we're not going to be parking on the street. Because we just,
Well,
I think
people are
this
parking on the grass now, you're just proposing to pave that.
100% correct, to make it so that they're not, parking in spaces that ought not be parked in. And then when you have winter conditions and things get very mucky, it really degrades the area.
What's the term for, as far as how long that long-term parking space will be enough? Is it like you said the 456, you guys would be good for how long? Because I know companies love to grow, which is a wonderful thing, but
We love
as
to
far
grow.
as the 456, is that, good for a while, or is it, do you know what I mean? What's the forecast?
So the 456 handles the 100 new employees that were just hired.
Yeah.
And are anticipated, we have 10 more employees coming on. So we think that's fine. Do we really believe that we're going to grow by leaps and bounds additional in the next few years? We don't. Can we project more? I think that if we had an additional growth, we'd end up having to expand the facility because the physical plant is only so large. So but that's actually a good, so Mr. Baker's point is if we do need to hire more, we're not going to hire from the 6 to 2:30 shift to the 2 to 10 shift, we'll hire. So the other shifts, those are the only 2 shifts with 400 employees.
Yeah.
The other ones have 100, 150, and we run 3 other shifts. So if we do have to expand, we would fill it in there because you can only fit so many people in the physical plant itself. So to answer your question, that was a long-winded way of
No,
saying,
it's perfect.
Mark said that, yes, it does handle it.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, could you just let us know who you are, please? Could you,
Yeah.
Follow the mic, please.
Mark Baker, here from Millipore Sigma. So, as she stated, the A and the B shift is what we call the first and the second shift at this time. Close to capacity now. We can only put so many folks into our manufacturing space, which is clean room. Footprint is only so big, as well as on the A shift and part of B shift, typically into the 5 p.m. time frame, we have our office staff too, for the most part. A lot of our engineering staff, safety staff, all of them, they're not here on the off hours, certainly in that capacity. We may have honestly 1 or 2, not 90 or 100 of them here. And we are essentially on an on-call. If we need to come in, we will come in. As we all live now, the electronic world, we're constantly in touch with our folks on the off hours. So the A and the B is where we are at most concerned, as she's already stated, at the shift change. We have the folks still in the building and the folks coming in for the next shift, and the office staff. And by end of year, our overflow parking, which right now averages 75 to 80 at the 54 Cherry Hill, goes away. So they have to come back one way or another. And that shift change now, I have 0 with 75 to 80 vehicles at 54.
could you stagger your shift changes?
We've tried multiples with that too, and what ends up happening is several things. You affect your production level because you're not able to have continuous production running. And it is a challenge to stay continuous with our product and our machines continuing to run, as we tried to do with every
Aren't there
changeover.
different operations within the,
Yeah, we've gone back and forth on that. And also what we have is we have a Monday to Thursday for the A, B, and C, 1, 2, and 3 shifts, most here. And then you have a Friday, Saturday, Sunday that run 12 hours. So we have complete shifts. So it's the Monday to Thursday, we have the A and the B shift overlap. Friday, we're fine because it's 12 p.m., 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So they're not shifting in between when you have the other cars there. So the real issue is the Monday to Thursday, we are, at this time, shy 110 spaces. And as she stated also, if we pull in any overtime, 15 on the first shift, 15 on the other shift can bring us 30 at the same time for a period.
is there any other space in the industrial park that you could use for,
No, everything is occupied, yeah.
in the whole park?
Down in the areas and where we would have employees walking, no, we don't have anything available to that aspect.
What happened to the other space? You lost it or what?
It's being
Well,
leased out.
we're not renewing the lease, as she stated earlier, the business downturn. doesn't warrant keeping both buildings running.
I
Because-
thought business was good, and that's,
No, business is good, but not to support two full sites, which is double capacity. So if the 54 Cherry Hill site did not come online, which was done, as she said, for the pandemic, our path of growth has still been the same. So even if we didn't have 54 and we were only here, we would be in the same predicament. The only thing that happened is for a bit, with 54 online, we were able to shift between both sites. 2.5 years ago, we went to add parking. We started it on our team. We were going to add the same parking to this site minus the end, and we were looking to add 100 parking spaces to the 54 site also. That was at the peak of running both buildings due to the pandemic.
thank you.
That building's gone away, everybody came over. So the overall growth for this site as it stands hasn't changed. We had a transition year, as every company did with the pandemic in '24, where we went flat, because now they're eating up all the inventory, all the customers are, all the stuff they pre-built, because they couldn't wait anymore because of the pandemic. There was no lead times that they could afford to get the product out. As they were eating their inventories, we went flat, and now we're back on the upturn again. So as she spoke also, we've already brought in, we started 12 employees this week, we're starting more next week. So not all on the same shifts, they go across all our shifts. But right now, our A and our B shift are not at capacity, but they are very close to capacity. So there's not a lot more we can add during that time. But our off shifts are going to grow. Our C shift is gonna grow, and so on.
Can we talk about going out there?
Yeah, I still got more questions though. How many parking spaces are you proposing to add total?
The total number was 146, if I remember off the top of my head, right? 146.
Okay, I'm really just trying to push to reduce some of this.
Some of the impervious side of it.
Right, just, some kind of creative way to do things to just eliminate one of these areas. And these, we're really going well beyond the limits of our regulations, and I'm not even sure if are we legally authorized to go up to 100% of a piece of property with a waiver?
I would probably need to speak to council on that. This is a very unique situation for us because it's not creating more impervious surface. It's not degrading the wetlands. It's actually repairing the wetlands and creating the new stormwater system that is in need
Right.
of repair.
Are
So
you
I
going
need
to ask
double check on
council?
this. Yeah.
Are you planning to?
Yes, yep. Yeah, just to make sure that we're,
Yeah, because
on the other.
you probably know that we have the regulation where we can issue waivers, but only up to 10% of the amount of property that's within that zone, within that jurisdictional boundary. So you're asking us for the 80%. So I'm not sure that we can legally do that.
Is that the same boundary?
But in the meantime, I still think that we got to be able somewhere to eliminate some of this.
So we are, just so everybody knows too, while we aren't creating I believe the bylaw, and I agree with Ms. Beatrice, that the bylaw is really speaking to the disruption and then the construction. So if we create an impediment, what we're actually doing is adding things that purify and improve your wetlands. So I think it's a little bit of a different waiver. Also, so we are adding, how much impervious area, those three sections? So, ready? I'll do this.
So
they can see.
parking lot A, go to the other
Okay,
one,
This one. Wait, this side is it?
the next one.
Next one,
This one?
first one.
18,658 square feet.
That's this one.
That's the entire parking lot. That's not entirely within the resource areas, just so you know.
Well, none of it's,
There's
it's within
Except for
the
8 square
50
feet.
foot, but it's not within.
8 square feet's within the 50-foot, and a portion of it's within the buffer zone, and a minor portion within the riverfront. Okay,
And then this one.
let's see. Hold on, Joe.
And the reason I'm going through them is because if you can see here, this is the edge of the pavement. We're removing this pavement line.
Yes, so parking lot B, which is the one in the middle.
Yep.
That's 10,080 square feet. And parking lot C is 14,400 square feet. So that's the entire area on the property.
And
Of newly created impervious?
Yes,
And what's the total roughly? You had
Yeah, so
eight,
it's
Probably somewhere around
38,000,
38.
38,000 square feet.
38,000.
Oh, you also, this.
What is that?
Well, it's being replaced.
That's removal, it looks like.
It's existing,
It is, but it's being saw cut and pavement removed.
Yes,
yeah.
yeah, so that's being saw cut.
That's-
Them to go pavement to pavement, you need fresh edge. So they will saw cut. So the issue I have is in that area, some of the pavement has potholes, has a bit of a mess. So we're going to replace like for like in the hashed area, and then from there over is the new.
So that's already existing.
That's already
Yes.
pavement, right? Why can't that be a parking space?
It is already. Since they just want to repair it as part of the project.
Oh, so you're not removing it? You said remove.
We are removing and replacing, so it's not new.
You just tell me step aside.
That's okay, no problem.
So,
Yeah,
no, it's
so-
removal and a replacement.
It's neither here nor there.
All right,
So,
right.
so I can hear the commission's concern regarding the work within your buffer zone. So what I'd like to do is get the numbers in terms of what's within your 35-foot and what it is we're proposing, which is the drainage and how much area is that,
And we're gonna
as
get
well
some
as the 50.
clarification on whether that,
What we can and cannot do.
whether we can exceed the 10%. And what does that 10% actually refer to? Is it only refer to areas within the 35-50, or that where there is some existing pavement? Because it seems all your parking's outside of that.
Right.
And does that impact that? Is that right?
Yeah.
That's what we
Yep,
wanna know?
And some of it's the area that we're proposing to restore by removing the invasives, treating and planting native plants. So that was our thought.
Well, how
was-
much of it is involving, how much area involves the Phragmite?
So most of the Phragmites is within the existing stormwater swale that's on the property, which is right here. So that's most of the Phragmites. I don't like the plant. We can certainly improve that. It would improve the treatment for the system as well.
How would the invasives be removed? I know there's some application where they like paint poison on them.
Right, so ideally, if that's allowable to the commission, and I
I don't
don't
know
know if it is or not.
Are you talking about taking individual plants out, hand treating it with a glove?
That's one method we could do. We could do the cut and dab method. I don't think we would do a spray type scenario because we are close to the
We wouldn't do
river
that.
and the BVW. But we would do some herbicide treatment on the invasives, cut it, remove, treatment, cut it, remove. And then we would be introducing at the same time native plants that would hopefully become established and just flourish in that area with the maintenance of the invasives.
Well, I've seen swales with Phragmite. Does that mean that they impair the function of the swale? Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but this site does need,
Well, we're gonna see
it
it.
needs some, care.
Attention.
Yes, it
And-
does need some attention, yeah.
Is there a lot of litter in the wetlands around the plant?
Not so much litter, but the area where parking lot C is, that area, there's a lot of fill and debris and concrete and that kind of stuff through there.
All right, the Abiomed property next door, Emily?
Yeah.
What's the situation with that parking lot? Is that within any of the 35 or 50-foot boundaries? And how have we dealt with that?
Like, how would that affect this project?
What does this
I
have to
just
do
wanted-
with this?
So this one is, this is your A Biomed,
Right,
and this is the Millipore, so I think,
right. But
I don't
no,
think-
but listen, this parking lot right here
I
is
think it-
bordering on the same wetlands. How
Oh,
do we
let me
deal
hop
with
back to that one sec.
but I don't know if, I think this is where they're doing stuff, right?
Right,
Yeah.
And are these two, this is two separate companies?
right.
Yes,
Right.
so this is only the Millipore,
Mm-hmm.
not that guy, okay.
So So what was your question, Peter?
Well, just how do we deal with this with the order of conditions we've done with Abiomed? Because it's bordering on pretty much the same wetland right here, right?
Yeah.
That I can take a look into. I can pull up the order of conditions that we have for
Yeah,
that property.
just,
and take a look
when we,
at
you know, when we go out there, if we,
See what we did there?
that. Yes, yep, absolutely. I can pull that up for you and send that over.
Right, the only area that it's.
okay, so, are there any other questions?
No, I think we
I
should
just
have
have
a site visit, though.
I
Yeah,
just
no,
have
that's
a
what I was
quick
gonna get to.
question. What's the total additional? Is it 43,000 for the 3 parking lots?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
About that, yeah.
Yeah.
And just again, noteworthy to mention that almost all of the area that's being altered,
course.
all within your jurisdiction, already is altered. This isn't,
Yeah, I understand.
okay, but I just thought I should bring it up because your bylaw really is speaking to new disturbance. It's talking about pristine areas that you go back toward. So this is fully maintained, cleared grass. I mean, it's cut every day. This area, same exact thing, fully maintained grass cut every day. So down in these
But,
areas, across here, that's where the stormwater management system exists today. So we are disturbing it, but it's disturbed. It's not pristine area by any stretch.
Two quick questions. You had said something about a walkway where the proposed parking lot on the right-hand side of the street is,
So
Yeah.
I can show it. So here's the walkway here
right?
that runs up.
So those employees, are they still gonna walk through the parking lot, or is there gonna be another walkway constructed for them?
No, that walkway was there temporarily because we also had property at 5 Cherry Hill down the street, the next lot on the other side. So they would use that to walk between the two sites.
On the
It's
same side
not-
of the street?
Yeah, it's
You
not,
don't do that anymore?
no. We have some folks at lunchtime like to go for walks, and may walk across it, but that's not any need for us to go forward at all. And it's a stone dust type material, impervious.
Okay, and then on the left-hand side of the street, you were saying it's mowed every day, but I think cars are parking there now. Every time I ride by there are cars parked there. Right. So you're already using that as parking.
And that's in some of the pictures, you can actually see it.
But you're proposing to pave that.
Correct.
But the pavement does have some value in terms of if you are parking cars on there, there is a treatment system within the pavement. We have the deep sump catch basins, and it would run into the constructed stormwater wetland.
Right now, it's just
So-
more or less a ditch, right?
Right, and, I mean, obviously, the lawn's probably treated with fertilizer and any type of phosphorus or nitrogen. So there is some disadvantage to having lawn and then having the vehicles on it. It's unlikely there's any type of spills or oil dripping, but if there was, it would be seeping through the ground. The pavement would at least capture it and it would be treated.
This is the first time I had someone suggest that pavement was a good thing over the grass.
I think, sir, if you're parking vehicles on grass and you had,
Well, you shouldn't be parking the vehicles on the grass.
well, that's why we're here tonight. Because we're hoping that maybe the commission might consider this proposal.
Be interesting to see when this building was built and what the parking lot requirements were. And
What was that? Because I think I can add
it'd be
something for
interesting
you.
to see when this building was built and approved by the,
Mhm.
you're probably gonna hear
The
the same
planning.
question from the planning board.
Yeah.
You know, if the building is sized properly, why do you need more parking spaces?
It's all the shifts they're running.
Well, let's start, first of all, with the use of the building internally has changed multiple times over the years. First manufacturing that was done, I want to say it was traffic lights or something to that effect, per square foot for person working probably was, 12 square feet. Whereas now, around a 6-foot table, I might have 5 people working. So, big difference there. That's 100% what I can say from my, 18 years here around seeing this, including that right here, when I first started there, the 4 light poles always existed. 2 of them were in that area, which was a grassy area, from that center island back. I can't tell you exactly when, but maybe 8 years ago, we expanded into there, also with the town, and we paved that area. And It used to be well over your ankle height of boots if you walked out there of water, consistent. So to a lot of their point, now that's all become controlled and, you know, managed through the systems now. You know, and as you'll see when you come out to visit, it's a good size, you know, area of a lot of water that's being collected.
That was done 8 years ago, you said?
I'd have to double check that with you. I don't know off the top of my head.
Along those lines.
And honestly, it's probably longer than that, because time, if you add in the 5 years of the pandemic, it's probably 13 years ago.
Okay. So we all set the questions?
Yeah.
Now we just have to arrange to get out there.
Yep.
And we have 4 weeks until our next meeting, 4 or
Yep,
5?
next one is July 24th.
Yeah. Could you facilitate that?
Yes,
then,
of
please?
course.
Yeah.
And let's try and get Lorraine involved too. 'cause
Absolutely.
The more people, the better.
Would that be during the week, like after 5, or how would?
It's, once I have some times narrowed down with the
Yeah.
team, I can send out some options to you guys and we'll do whatever we can to make sure we get everyone out there. If we have to do more than one site visit, just to make sure we get everyone there, then
Yeah.
I can coordinate with you all and we can try to figure something out too.
Yeah.
Be nice to see it at the
Thank
shift
you.
change. Don't you think? I don't know, the
Where are we
traffic-
gonna park if we do that?
No, I could put you in a visitor spot up front.
Take a bus over. But seriously, I'd like to see just how busy it is.
Yeah, well, we could go see that anyway.
Yeah, I'd be happy to
Okay,
have
so
you out there at shift
Emily,
change.
You'll take care of that then?
Yes, yep, I
No,
have
we-
notes on everything. I'll get it all squared away for you.
We need to continue the meeting, right?
Yes, and now we'll just have to, there was no public comment because there's no public here. So if someone makes a motion to continue to July 24th, we will do so.
Just a motion to continue, nothing here?
Right, we're not making any vote on it.
We'll
I'll
vote
just make a motion to continue
to our next date.
July 24th.
to July 21st.
Is it July 20? Oh, yeah, because we're missing one, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
myself.
second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, so we will see you.
We'll look
at
forward
the
to
site.
seeing you before the next meeting.
Thank you.
We'll see you then.
That's a good issue,
Perfect.
the 98% or wherever they are, the
The
impact.
98 trees, yeah.
Yeah.
They want to do a lot of good things.
Perfect.
but it's-
Fantastic.
If we get the authority.
Oh, fantastic. Great. Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
So Emily, we'll
Yes.
want to know what that 10% refers to.
Yes, absolutely.
Specifically, yeah.
Yep, I can get all that information.
Okay, Emily, you said you had no minutes.
No minutes.
Okay.
No,
Uh,
I didn't get back from vacation. in time to
We
get them
know
done.
you're busy.
And have you recruited anyone for us yet?
We are trying. We're trying. I have Aaron and Brian are on the case too. They've got feelers out because people have expressed interest in ZBA as well as planning and potentially Concom. So we're really trying to get.
ZBA disordered.
I'm sorry?
The ZBA just added 2 people, didn't they?
They did. Yeah, they weren't interested in. They didn't want to join Concom.
They brought back, what's her name? Becky Kilborn.
Oh, really?
Brought her out of retirement.
Oh, for God's sake. Okay,
Okay, but yeah,
we're done.
we know we need that.
Yes.
Okay, so if someone make a motion to adjourn,
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second the motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
thank you all.
Thank you all.